What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about 5 things the Avengers beta did wrong. Now, I know I'm leading with the negative video on my other channel, Podcast Now Plus, which will be in the link below. And I know I'm plugging it, but what's kind of cool, or at least I think it's cool, it may not be cool to a lot of people, but on that channel right now, or at least hopefully a little bit later in the day, I'm going to be talking about the 5 things it did right. So that channel's got the more positive video. This channel has the more negative video. So again, if you guys want to check that channel out, it'll be in the link in the description below. Okay, so again, I get that this is a little bit more negative. I'm sorry about that. I know people really are liking the beta, and to be honest with you, I do too. I think overall I'm enjoying this beta. I like it more than I don't like it. Okay, so again, don't look at this as like, oh my god, this beta is garbage, or Alex really hates it, or all he thinks about is negative things. No, these are kind of, even some of these are more like nitpicking things, which we'll get to. This is not ranked. Again, these are the negative things. Podcast Now Plus, I have the positive things. Again, no particular order. Let's go over the things that I think they can fix / would be expected in a beta like this. So number 1 and number 2 is going to be the matchmaking, so playing online, playing like all that kind of stuff. And then number 2 is the frame rate. Okay, now these are 2 things that, as we talked about leading into this week, I said, these are things that occur, and of all things that you hope that the developer can fix. Okay, you hope Crystal Dynamics and all them could fix these issues before the game actually comes out. These are the things I think they have the best, possibility of fixing. Okay, the game comes out in less than 4 weeks, so they don't have all that much time. But in reality, but again, I mean, talking about it in a more negative way, the frame rate, it is a problem. Okay, it is definitely a problem. It really has a lot of problems when you're playing drop zones, missions in general, and you're playing with 4 people, the full group. Honestly, I feel like it hangs in there pretty okay if you're playing alone or maybe even with companions, but when you start getting other people in there into matchmaking, the game doesn't really hold up. Is it the biggest deal in the world? I think I can tolerate it. I think it would be an annoyance, though, if it was in the main game. Okay, if we're talking about, again, like things they could fix even, right, for the main game, this would be a very big annoyance. I don't think this would break the game or completely ruin it, but it would be a pretty big deal. And then, again, the matchmaking stuff, I mean, that is something, and now, again, you expect it. There's a lot of people playing. Next week, there's going to be even more. And the week after, there's going to be even more. So we're really, hopefully, going to be able to learn if they can handle this by, I think, the 3rd weekend. If it's still bad in the 3rd weekend, by the way, both these issues, that kind of is a problem because they've had 3 weeks to work on it. And if they can't get it to work on that open beta for everybody weekend, what's to say they'll have it ready for 2 weeks after when the game actually comes out? You know what I mean? Now, again, matchmaking with friends, it not working every single time. Sometimes it freezes. Sometimes, kicks you out. Sometimes you can't really invite people. All these things, they're expected. They're things that definitely are expected with a beta, but they got to make sure they fix them for the main game. The 3rd thing, and this is a legitimate, in my opinion, concern, is the camera. Now, I talked about this, I believe, yesterday when I talked about the kind of campaign missions, okay, the main missions or the hero missions, whatever you want to call them. The camera's bad. And the more I play it, the camera, I think, becomes more and more awful. Especially, now, again, like when you do drop zones, or even when you're in, like, the harm room, when you're facing, like, wave after wave, sometimes the camera can really get away from you. And when you're doing, like, a special move, like when you're doing the triangle circle move, a lot of times the camera, in fact, I don't think in general, the camera doesn't really follow you. You press it, but you still have to kind of control where the camera is looking while you're doing it. And then again, you have other people playing. The game doesn't hold up very well at all when there's a lot of people doing things at the same time, okay? But with the camera, just like I said yesterday, when you're doing some traversal stuff, when you're jumping, when you're Iron Man and you're flying around, the camera's pretty tough. It's pretty finicky. It's pretty like lightweight, like it's very sensitive. Now, again, those are things you can adjust even like in menus and stuff. But overall, I don't think this is, camera is one of those things that I think people take for granted. It's definitely something I take for granted, right? When you're playing a game, camera stuff isn't really something you even think about. Either is, and I'll say this honestly, is like lighting. A lot of times lighting, I personally, I don't know about you guys, I take for granted in a lot of games. But you can really tell when the camera work doesn't work. If you ever go back and play like the first Kingdom Hearts game, you'll find one of the worst cameras ever created, by man, okay? So, like, those things exist. It's one of those things, though, where you don't really focus in on a good camera. You know what I mean? It doesn't really, like, how the camera works doesn't really matter. It only really impacts people when it doesn't work. Again, is it the biggest thing in the world? Well, it's a pretty big annoyance, and this is, I think, an actual flaw with the game that they need to work on. But I do think, again, this is something that they could probably patch up before the game actually comes out. Number 4 is the boss fight. So there's not that many boss fights in the beta, but what I will say is they're just not good enough. They're honestly, I'm enjoying fighting enemies. I think that for the most part, there's enough variety, although I will say, now having played it all day Saturday, there is a repetitiveness there, which we'll actually talk about. It's my final thing on this list. There is some repetition. The enemies, I think, are diverse enough for now. Again, playing as different heroes even when the game comes out, that can totally help. The fact that these aren't all the enemy types, I understand that. That'll help as well. But the fact of the matter is, the boss fights, which are pretty big deals, right? They're going to have like the boss kind of raid things in this game. They're going to have bosses like in campaign missions, all this stuff. They're not very good. They're more, I don't even know, honestly, how to describe them. Abomination, not very good. Taskmaster, not very good. That robot one, the kind of like spider-legged robot boss, which isn't really, I wouldn't even consider a boss. That one's not all that good. I mean, they're just not that solid. I don't really know what you can do to fix them. We'll have to see. I mean, when the game comes out, there's going to be bosses. There's probably going to be bosses, too, by the way, that they've kept hidden from us, right? Bosses that, I actually made a video a while ago talking about, could Thanos be, like, introduced in some way in this game? Do I think we'd fight him? No. But, I mean, think about that, though. If they're hiding, say, a villain, pretty cool villain, and then you fight him, I don't know, or her, whoever it happens to be, I don't know. If it's so far the quality that they've shown in the beta, I'm not happy with it. So I think that is one that, maybe this isn't necessarily ranked, but I would say camera is a pretty big issue that isn't guaranteed to be fixed. And boss fights, honestly, we're going to have these boss fights in the actual game. Like, they're just going to be the exact same. So I don't know if they're going to try and tweak them or change them to make them a little bit more engaging. But as of right now, these boss fights are not good enough. We'll have to see with the base game, though. And then the 5th thing that this beta did wrong is the repetitiveness. Now, it's tough because it's not as repetitive as I thought, and I think that the gameplay still isn't all that repetitive, if that makes sense. It's more or less the things that you're doing, the stuff that they gave us in this beta. Now, again, I get it. This is just a fraction, okay, of the basic. The game is like 5, 6, 7, 8 times, whatever number you want to say, bigger than this, okay? Like, multiply it, right? So I get it. We're going to have more missions. You're not going to run out of things to do as quickly as we would in this beta. But at the same time, again, give people 3, 4, 5, 6 days. And not even just that. I mean, yeah, those are like the speedrunners. Or even not even speedrunners. Those are just people that get it day one and then know that for like a week solid, they're just going to play this game a lot. Honestly, over the last like year or so, I've been trying to do that. If I get a brand new game, normally years ago, I would get a new game, play it for a couple hours, and then end up for whatever reason just stopping. I wouldn't play it past a couple hours. Okay, it would have to be a pretty rare game that would actually get me to continue playing it. Nowadays, though, I'm even like that. I'll get the game, even Avengers. That's what I'm planning on doing. Getting the game, and then for probably, at least that weekend into the week, probably like every night, I'm going to try and play this thing. I hope to get like 20, 30, 40 hours in by like a week after this game. So if the game runs out of things to do in a week, that's not, you know what I mean? And now, will it? I don't think so. I think this game will last a little bit longer. But again, the fundamental issue with this game is it's a game, and I think this is the biggest issue, by the way. This is a game that you're meant to play literally for years. The point is to play Marvel's Avengers for years. That is asking a lot. Not a lot of games can survive years. Some games can survive months. Not even all games can do that. This game wants to last like a year, year and a half. Okay, now that is a lot. The heroes will help. Okay, getting Hawkeye, getting Spider-Man if you have PlayStation, getting whoever else they add, those will help. But if the missions get too repetitive, or you're doing kind of the same thing over and over, and again, the gameplay, personally, I will say that's the strength of it. I don't think the gameplay is getting nearly as repetitive as I thought it would. But if that starts to get repetitive in the base game, right, once you unlock all the skills, once you're a high power level and a high rank, all this stuff, then there could be a problem. You know what I mean? There could absolutely be a problem, and people could run out of things to do really, really quickly. So, again, I know this is a negative video. I do just want to throw in there that I am actually impressed with the beta overall. I think it was a pretty solid thing. These are just some issues that I think need to be addressed at the end of the day. So, guys, let me know in the comments below, what do you think? What are some things you think this game did right, or this beta did right? What are some things that you think the beta did wrong? Again, my second channel, which will be in the description below, I'm going to talk about the things it did right. If you guys are watching this like literally a couple minutes after it goes up, the video won't be up yet, but if you guys are watching this through the day, it'll be up on Podcast Now Plus, okay? So let me know your thoughts. Make sure you guys are subscribed, not just to my second channel, but obviously to this channel. Have the bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. And thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it, and I hope to see you all on the next video.